Hi friends, it's Teacher Shannon. I wanted to share another story with you, and this story is called Look, Look, Look at Sculpture, and it's written and illustrated by Nancy Elizabeth Wallace. And this is a fun book about going to a museum, which I love to go to museums, and we can't really do that right now, so this is kind of like we're taking a trip to a museum together. One afternoon, 3 tiny mice came out of their tiny mouse house. They climbed up onto the long table Mrs. Bigsley used for her desk. Alexander and Kat spied a card. And Alexander read, "Celebrate sculpture at the museum." "Let's go," said Kat. So off they went. So they're in the basket in the back of her bike, and it looks like they just drove past quite an amazing sculpture there. The museum shop, celebrate sculpture. And now here they go into the art museum. When the mice got to the museum, they hid behind a broom and bucket until the building closed for the night. Then they tiptoed into the gallery. And now we see some different types of sculptures. "Look," said Alexander, "stars." And here's a totem. "Look," said Kiki, "one that moves. It's a mobile." There's a statue and a bust, a relief, and another bust. "Look," said Kat, "jewels." She spies jewels on this particular sculpture. "There it is," they whispered, "the sculpture from the invitation." They scooched up to the pedestal. "Two shapes are short and 2 are tall," said Kat. "It's bigger than we are," said Kiki. "It's made of slate. It must be very heavy," said Alexander. "And I see spaces between the shapes," said Alexander. Kat said, "I see spaces in the shapes." Kiki said, "I see 4 smooth, shiny crescent moon shapes. Let's look some more." They clasped their hands behind their backs and did a museum walk around the sculpture. So museum walk is because we look at things with our eyes and we don't touch other people's art, right? So they looked at the sides, they looked at the back, they looked at the front. "It feels like a forest," said Kat. "I think it's a family," said Kiki. "The holes are like portholes on a boat," said Alexander. "Let's sketch." They took pencils and pads out of their packs. They started drawing. "Let's add to our sketches," said Kiki. She drew more lines and added shading. Alexander and Kat did too. "Now our sketches don't look flat," said Kat. "The sketches look 3D, they squeaked. "Just like the sculpture is," said Alexander. 3D, Kat said again. "What if we each make a clay sculpture?" They reached into their packs and pulled out clay. "One standing alone," said Kat. "Look," said Alexander, "mine with yours. They're saying hello." "Now it's a group sculpture, and mine looks good enough to eat," said Kiki. "I'll make 1 more," said Kiki, "and then we'll have 4. "What if," said Alexander, "we add to the 4th one?" Alexander worked on the front. "Look, squiggles." Kiki worked on the back. "Look, bumps." Kat worked on the sides. "Look, X marks." "Texture," they shouted. They looked at what they had created, and then Kat said, "Let's take turns arranging them." "Ta-da," said Kat. When I put them this way, said Kiki, the yellow one looks lonely. Look at them this way, said Alexander. Whoa, said Cat. This way feels like music, said Alexander. Dum-dee-dum-dee. Now they look like they are dancing, said Kiki. What if, said Alexander, we make shapes that look like holes? Let's cut one in half, said Cat. Now they got 2 semicircles. Let's roll out the other, said Kiki, and put some shapes together. Look, they squealed. They made one that looks like a mouse. Suddenly they heard footsteps. They had just enough time to pack up, climb down, and scamper out the entrance door before it was the people's turn to look at Sculpture. Oh, looks like they're getting a ride in the mail carrier's bag. It says, look some more. Sculpture is 3-dimensional, 3D. Sculpture can be made of different materials, be different colors, be small or big or in between, be heavy or light, or else look heavy or light, even if it isn't. Sculpture can have a surface that is textured or smooth, shiny or dull. Sculpture can move, stand alone, or be in a group, be outside or inside. Find sculpture to look at in a house, at a museum, in a park, at school, on the street, in a city or town, in front of a building, in a garden, everywhere. So I thought another project you could do at home with some things, and you might not have these right now and you might have to save them up for a couple days or longer, but we all have paper towel rolls or toilet paper rolls. Okay, so you can do this with kid scissors. Now anytime we work with scissors, we need to ask our parents and probably do it at a table, right? Be careful. So if you kind of just push on it, you can cut these into rings. And if you may need some help from your parents with this, that's fine. But after you get all your rings cut, you can decide maybe you want to paint them first and let them dry and then glue them. I started to make one the other day. If you have a flat piece of cardboard, just put some glue and you can start stacking them and creating a sculpture. And then you can go back later and paint it, which is what I'm going to need to do. Or as I said, you could paint it first and then glue it together. I would suggest not using a ton of glue because the cardboard will get kind of mushy and soggy if you use too much. And you will have to be a little bit patient and wait for things to dry. But I thought this would be another fun thing you could do at home with some materials that we all seem to have laying around. And if you have a chance, I know we can't go to museums right now, but some of the parks are opening back up. And at Marina Park down at the beach, if you can walk all the way down to the end, they have an amazing mermaid sculpture that I'd love to go look at sometime. So maybe when you can start going out again, you can take a walk and check out that mermaid sculpture. Anyway, I hope you have fun with this. And again, if you create anything, we would love to see pictures of it or you holding it. I'll keep working on mine and paint it and share it with you when I get it finished, okay? Have fun, friends.